Welcome up. You have certainly heard of the Ryanair flight hijacked by Belarus a couple of weeks ago. Today I'm talking about this with Anna Bardazzi, author and journalist at East Journal. Ciao Anna, welcome up.
Hi Gianmarco, I'm very pleased to be here today.
Listen, can you make us a recap of the facts?
On May 23rd, a Ryanair airplane from Greece to Lithuania was flying over Belarus when pilots received an alert from Minsk airport. This alert was about a bomb expected to explode in the sky over Vilnius. After a quite long discussion with the air traffic controllers, pilots decided to land in Minsk, but at ground, Belarusian army arrested Roman Protasiewicz and his girlfriend, Sofia Sapega, a Russian citizen. A few days later, a reconstruction of events has shown that the message about a bomb on board was sent to Minsk airport after their alert. Pretty strange.
What were the international reactions?
All European countries reacted very soon, closing their airspace to Belarusian flights, and some of them interrupted any connections with Belarus. An investigation was opened by the International Civil Aviation Organization, and many foreign governments and politics asked for Roman Protasiewicz to be released. Putin has reacted in a very different way, supporting Lukashenko, especially during their meeting in Sochi a few days after the incident. In fact, Putin promised $500 million to Belarus. On the other side, European countries and United States promised new economical sanctions for Belarus.
And how did Lukashenko justify?
Once more, Lukashenko spoke to Belarusian people joking about a tragic event. He said that Minsk airport received the bomb alert and then they simply did what they were supposed to do, respecting aviation law and rules. He even talked about himself as a savior because not a country but Belarus accepted the Ryanair flight landing on its territory. But this is not true. No one received information about the situation, but this works so well for propaganda. It's his usual communication strategy.
Who is Roman Protasiewicz?
Roman Protasiewicz is a 26-year-old journalist, founder and former member of the well-known Telegram channel Nexta, born as a YouTube channel, then switched on Telegram just before presidential elections in 2020. Nexta gained a great visibility during latest mass protests, reaching more than 1 million subscribers. Propaganda said that he also had a role as a fighter in Donbass, Ukraine, but that's not true. He was there, of course, but as a freelance journalist and blogger.
Okay, but I don't understand. Why is Lukashenko so scared of a 26-year-old?
I think that Lukashenko is not scared of Protasiewicz, but it looks like he's losing control. He's arresting every person supposed to be against him, just like Stalin used to do. His imagination is increasing over and over, and every day he finds out new ways to repress Belarusian people. So it's not about Protasiewicz, it's about every single human being protesting against Lukashenko. Protasiewicz's case is also a way to show that he can do everything he wants that he's not worried of anything. He's using him for his propaganda, just like he did with other prisoners. For example, a video showing Protasiewicz confessing his fault was broadcasted some days after his arrest, and it looked so similar to the Svetlana Tikhanovskaya's video shown just before she left Belarus. Same face, same fear, same sentences.
What do you think of the sanctions and what do you think about Belarus' future?
What's next for Belarus? We just have to wait for new sanctions. Belarusian economy is collapsing, and I think it's the only way to help the country, even if it may seem illogical. Military people like Oman, helping Lukashenko, are paid by him. But in Belarus, there is no more money. So, who will pay more? Europe and United States or Putin? That's the point.
Thank you for being with us today, Anna. What we can actually learn from this news is that autocrats do what they do, let's say 9 times out of 10, for internal reasons. Lukashenko does not care about the fact that he has violated international law. He has eliminated a threat, a political opposer. In other words, dictators understand foreign policy as a tool to strengthen their internal legitimacy. There is no other mystery involved. Another element that this case has exposed is the weakness of the European Union. While their reactions have been strong, the sanctions applied are not a real concern for Lukashenko at this point. The EU is sanctioning him since 1996. Of course, this is bad for the economy of the country, but it does not care. At this point, he's relying entirely on the economic aid of the Russian Federation. While the European Union has a common foreign policy led by the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Josep Borrell, EU foreign policy has been often undermined by the wavering strategies of its member states. Hungary, for example, has created strong bonds with Russia. Similarly, French President Macron has recently criticized sanctions on Russia because, as he argues, they do not work. Macron and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel have been advocates for dialogue with Russia for a long time already. To this, we should add the lack of respect shown by autocrats to EU authorities. In February, Borrell stood silent next to the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sergei Lavrov, while he called the EU unreliable. In April, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was left without a chair in a meeting with Erdogan in Istanbul, because, they justified, this was the seating arrangement foreseen for delegations. Autocrats keep behaving like the EU and its institutions are a joke. To some extent, they are right, as the EU endures misbehaviors and a constant lack of respect without strong reactions. Part of the reason lies in the inadequacy of the tools at disposal of the EU. Yet, in absence of a European army, diplomacy remains the only option for a bloc that lacks any type of leverage in negotiations with either Belarus or Russia. I am Understanding Politics. Thank you for watching.